In 1955, a paleontologist sorting through kangaroo bones on the floor of a limestone cave in southwestern Australia pulled out a single human tooth that had no business being there. That tooth triggered an excavation that pushed the known date of human occupation in Australia back by 13 or years. And the tooth wasn't even the most surprising thing inside Devil's Lair. 5 kilometers from the current Western Australian coastline, sitting within a formation of quaternary limestone that runs along the country's southwestern edge, Devil's Lair is a single-chamber cave with a floor covering roughly 200 square meters. That sounds modest. What makes it extraordinary is what sits beneath that floor. The cave contains 660 centimeters of sandy sediment laid down in more than 100 distinct layers, separated by hardened flowstone deposits that formed between periods of occupation. That depth of material represents an almost unbroken record of what was happening in and around this cave across an enormous span of time. Archaeological evidence, hearths, stone tools, animal bones, and human material runs through approximately 350 centimeters of that sequence. The rest is geological and biological record. Together, they document a world that no longer exists anywhere in Australia. When archaeologists began formal excavation in the 1970s, initial radiocarbon dating placed the earliest human occupation at approximately 35,000 years ago. That number was accepted, published, and treated as settled. Southwestern Australia had been occupied for 35,000 years. The science moved on. Then the dating was revised. New pre-treatment techniques, developed specifically to address contamination in older charcoal samples, returned ages from the deepest archaeological layers that were significantly older. 5 independent methods: radiocarbon using the new pre-treatment approach, optically stimulated luminescence, electron spin resonance, uranium series dating of flowstones, and radiocarbon dating of emu eggshell carbonate, all produced results in agreement with each other. The conclusion, published in Quaternary Research, was that people had been living in or passing through this cave 48 to 50,000 years ago. That a single revision moved the known date of human occupation in southwestern Australia back by 13 years. And those people were not coastal dwellers in any modern sense. Sea levels during the Ice Age placed the ancient shoreline much further west. These were people moving through and adapting to a landscape that has since disappeared entirely beneath the ocean. The revised date was striking enough on its own. What they were actually doing inside the cave is the part that took longer to absorb. The date at Devil's Lair just shifted 13 years in a single revision. Does that change how you think about the speed of human migration across the continent? Or does the number still not feel real at that scale? Drop your answer in the comments below. Because the date is only the beginning. What they left behind inside that cave is where things get genuinely strange. What they left behind starts with color. Processed red and yellow mineral ochre has been recovered from throughout Devil's Lair's archaeological layers, with the earliest examples dating to 48,000 years ago. That detail requires a moment to sit with, because ochre is not naturally present inside this cave. It does not occur in the immediate interior geology. Every fragment found in those layers was collected somewhere outside, carried to the cave, and then worked deliberately once inside. The ochre fragments show heavy grinding striations, scraping facets, and pounding marks. The physical signatures of a technique applied with intention, not once, but repeatedly, by people who who had clearly done this before. What the ochre was for cannot be confirmed. It has practical uses. It can preserve organic material, repel insects, function as a sunscreen. But it also carries a long, well-documented association across human cultures with body decoration, ritual behavior, and artistic expression. The act alone is significant regardless of purpose. Sourcing a specific mineral, transporting it, processing it with a practiced technique. That is not the behavior of a population focused purely on physical survival. It is planning. It is the deliberate manipulation of the material world for a reason that goes beyond eating and shelter. The earliest confirmed cave art by modern humans in Europe dates to at least 4,800 years ago. The ochre processing at Devil's Lair predates the earliest confirmed modern human cave paintings in Europe by several thousand years, happening in a limestone cave in southwestern Australia that almost nobody outside the academic community knows exists. Then the bone beads deepen it further. 3 beads, made from the limb bones of macropods, the family that includes kangaroos and wallabies, were recovered from separate stratigraphic layers, meaning they were not a single deposit, but a tradition sustained across thousands of years. The manufacturing process was specific. Bone shafts cut into short segments, then ground smooth on abrasive stone until all rough edges were gone and the surface was consistently polished. These were not accidentally shaped objects. They were designed, produced by someone who understood both the material and the intended result. They date to between 19 Lair and 700 years ago, and the fact that they appear across multiple layers means the practice of making them persisted across generations. A cave 5 kilometers from the Western Australian coast, known to almost nobody, contains evidence that the first Australians were processing pigment for symbolic purposes before the painters of Lascaux were born, and making polished personal jewelry across a tradition that outlasted most ancient civilizations. The sediment record does not need embellishment. What was found inside it is enough. Subscribe if this is the kind of history you were never taught, and watch the next one.